Have you ever wondered what truly happens in that liminal space between life and death? The ancient writings speak of a profound mystery that has captivated seekers for millennia. Today, we venture into understanding what the great spiritual researcher Edgar once revealed about the soul's journey immediately following physical death. When the last breath departs our mortal vessel, many experience a profound disorientation. Imagine walking through a familiar home, reaching for a door handle, only to find your hand passes through it. The soul, freed from its physical anchor, often remains suspended in a state of bewilderment. "Where am I?" becomes the question echoing through consciousness. I recall the story of James, a man who had passed suddenly in his sleep. For what he perceived as days, he wandered his suburban home, attempting to comfort his grief-stricken wife, unaware that his gentle touches could no longer be felt. This phenomenon, the soul's initial resistance to recognize its transition, creates what mystics call the veil of confusion. Edgar's profound insights revealed that in these moments, the soul may linger at the periphery of the physical realm, observing loved ones, remaining tethered by emotional cords. Some souls report seeing their own funeral, their family's tears, their possessions being sorted. The grief they witness often anchors them further to the earthly plane. What draws certain souls to remain close? Unfinished conversations, protecting loved ones from perceived dangers, or simply the comfort of familiar surroundings. A mother might hover near her children, feeling an overwhelming need to ensure they're cared for. A businessman might remain near his office, worried about uncompleted deals. These earthly concerns become magnets, holding the soul in proximity to its former life. Consider Margaret, whose sudden departure from this world left her elderly mother alone. She remained for what felt like months, watching over the woman who raised her, guiding her toward taking necessary medications, appearing in dreams to reassure her. These invisible guardianships showcase the soul's capacity for continued care beyond physical boundaries. The intensity of attachments varies greatly. Some souls, particularly those who died in trauma or with deep regrets, find themselves caught in a spiritual gravity well. A soldier who died protecting comrades might repeat the final moments, unable to accept peace. A lover who parted with harsh words might seek reconciliation that's no longer possible in earthly terms. This initial phase, as Edgar explained, marks the beginning of the soul's post-mortem journey. Some adapt quickly, recognizing their new state and feeling the call toward higher realms. Others resist, creating invisible threads that bind them to the places and people they've known. In this liminal space, time loses its earthly meaning, and the soul's perception becomes vastly different from its former human experience. The atmosphere grows thick with possibility and confusion. The soul begins to sense that remaining in this intermediate state isn't its ultimate purpose. A subtle pull, like a distant melody or warm light, starts calling from beyond. Yet for many, the choice to respond to this call becomes the defining moment of their transition journey. Where does the soul go from here? How long will it remain suspended between worlds? These questions beckon us to deeper understanding. In the vastness of spiritual understanding, a profound truth emerges. The soul enters what sacred texts call the bardo, or intermediate realm. This ethereal space exists between the physical world and higher dimensions, where the departed soul undergoes its greatest transformation. Here, consciousness expands beyond earthly limitations. A soul might experience time as fluid, witnessing past memories play like theatrical performances while simultaneously observing the future unfold. Thomas, a teacher who passed suddenly, found himself reviewing his entire life, not as judgment, but as understanding. He saw how every interaction, every word spoken, had created ripples through countless lives. Edgar's revelations describe this realm as both beautiful and challenging. Some souls find themselves in landscapes of pure emotion, gardens that bloom with love, or storms that rage with unresolved anger. These aren't physical places, but manifestations of the soul's internal state. A person who lived with guilt might find themselves in shadows until they choose forgiveness. One who loved deeply might experience radiant light that guides them forward. The phenomenon of earthbound spirits becomes clearer in this context. These are souls who, for myriad reasons, resist the natural flow toward higher realms. Their attachments act like anchors, keeping them close to familiar vibrations. Maria, who never forgave herself for missing her son's last birthday, remained bound to his room for years, her remorse creating invisible chains. Surprisingly, souls often report encounters with spiritual guides, beings of light who approach with infinite patience. These guides might appear as familiar figures, beloved grandparents, spiritual teachers, or even angelic presences. They don't force transition, but offer understanding and healing. For some souls, these meetings catalyze immediate transformation. For others, especially those anchored by deep trauma, the healing process requires more time and compassion. Consider the case of veterans who carried the weight of their actions. Many report being met by fellow soldiers who help process experiences that their earthly minds couldn't comprehend. Through this spiritual counseling, they gradually release the burdens that keep them tethered to battlefields long silenced. This therapeutic aspect of the intermediate realm serves as a cosmic healing chamber. The duration in this realm proves deeply personal. Some souls, light and ready, pass through like travelers catching a familiar train. Others, heavy with unresolved emotions, might linger for what could be measured in earthly years. Yet time itself transforms in this space. Moments can contain eternities, and perceived years might be mere flashes in the cosmic rhythm. Love emerges as the primary bridge between realms. Souls driven by concern for loved ones often remain until they witness their family's healing and adaptation. A father might stay near until seeing his children find stability. A spouse might hover until their partner discovers new purpose. This loving vigilance gradually transforms from attachment to blessing, eventually releasing both the departed and those left behind. The Tibetan Book of Living and Dying speaks of this phase as crucial, where the soul begins recognizing its true nature beyond physical identity. Past all the confusion and attachment, a deeper knowing starts to emerge. The soul remembers its luminous essence, its connection to all existence, preparing for the ultimate choice, to continue forward or to remain in this intermediate state indefinitely. As consciousness expands in this realm, some souls choose service, becoming unseen helpers for those still crossing the threshold. Others continue their spiritual education, learning truths about existence that weren't accessible in physical form. The variety of experiences reflects the infinite diversity of human journeys and the compassionate design of the universe itself. The question then arises, what calls the soul forward when it's ready to leave this intermediate state? The answer lies in the eternal dance between love, wisdom, and the soul's innate drive toward divine reunion. Beyond the veiled threshold of the intermediate realm, a sacred beckoning emerges, what ancient mystics describe as the call of light. Soon, this luminous summons represents the soul's invitation to continue its eternal journey, yet its manifestation differs profoundly for each consciousness. The light doesn't arrive as mere visual radiance, but as a multisensory embrace of divine love. Picture Sarah, who lingered 3 months earthly time near her art studio. She first perceived the call as her favorite Van Gogh painting expanding into living color, swirling with consciousness itself. For another soul, Richard, who mourned leaving his rescue dogs, it appeared as a chorus of beloved animal spirits, their joyful barking transforming into celestial harmonies. Edgar's profound insights reveal that this sacred light adjusts to each soul's deepest truth. For those who lived by spiritual devotion, it might manifest as their cherished deity or spiritual guide. For the intellectually inclined, it could present as infinite knowledge unfolding. For the artist, as the sum of all beauty ever created becoming one universal masterpiece. The distinction between souls who accept and those who resist becomes crucial here. Accepting souls experience a magnetic pull, described as coming home to a place they've always known but forgotten. They flow toward the light, like rivers meeting the ocean, surrendering individual waves to become vast awareness. Their journey resembles awakening from a dream, realizing the physical life was but a chapter in an infinite book. Resistant souls, however, often mirror the story of Henry, a businessman who couldn't release his earthly empire. When the light appeared as a doorway of pure possibility, he perceived it as abandonment of his company. His fear created spiritual static, distorting the light's invitation into what seemed like demands to forget everything he'd built. This resistance manifests as spiritual weight, creating the phenomenon of earthbound attachment. Consider the paradox of choice in these moments. Some souls resist not from fear alone, but from perceived, unfinished earthly purposes. A grandmother might insist on watching her orphaned grandchildren grow. A scientist might refuse to depart before completing crucial research. Yet Edgar emphasized that divine wisdom encompasses such concerns, allowing souls to maintain benevolent influence while still progressing on their spiritual journey. The metaphor of soul shadows describes what remains when consciousness splits between realms. Like echoes in a canyon, these shadows can manifest as apparitions or felt presences, continuing to influence earthly events while the primary consciousness gradually ventures toward higher understanding. This explains why loved ones might sense departed spirits long after their passing, even as these souls progress spiritually. Time, in this sacred dance, reveals its ultimate illusion. A soul might resist for perceived decades in earthly measurement, yet experience only moments of spiritual time. Conversely, another might accept the light immediately, but choose to remain nearby through the mystic quality of omnipresent love, being everywhere their affection extends, while simultaneously advancing toward cosmic union. The Tibetan concept of clear light parallels Edgar's description, a pure awareness beyond all concepts and attachments. Those who recognize this truth in life transition smoothly, seeing death as merely changing clothes. Others, unprepared by spiritual understanding, struggle like caterpillars resisting the chrysalis, unaware that wings await beyond the temporary dissolution. Therapeutic encounters in this realm prove transformative. Souls often report meeting other beings who guide them toward understanding. A suicide victim might encounter others who explain how each life serves cosmic purpose, encouraging them to embrace rather than fear existence. A bitter soul might witness the ripples of their anger, transforming resentment into compassion through divine perspective. The preparation for ultimate transition begins when the soul recognizes that holding on isn't preservation, but stagnation. Like a child finally ready to release training wheels, trust in the cosmic process builds. Some describe this as layers of fear peeling away, revealing the eternal self that was never truly separate from divine light. As understanding deepens, the call intensifies, becoming less invitation and more recognition. The soul begins remembering its source, its purpose, its eternal nature beyond earthly drama. This remembrance creates the bridge between resistance and surrender, preparing for the culminating choice that shapes the continued journey through infinity. As we approach the culmination of this sacred understanding, a profound truth emerges. The soul's journey through the post-mortem state reflects its deepest spiritual preparation. Every attachment released, every resistance surrendered, becomes a stepping stone toward ultimate understanding of its eternal nature. The duration of a soul's earthly lingering remains beautifully unique to each consciousness. Diana, an artist who lived fully present in each moment, passed through intermediate realms like a morning mist dissolving at sunrise, mere days in earthly measurement. Contrast this with Michael, whose sudden departure from business left him suspended for what felt like years, watching over unfinished projects until accepting that life continues without physical presence. Sacred texts speak of souls remaining anywhere from moments to many years in earthly proximity. A Zen master might dissolve instantly into cosmic consciousness, while a mother of young children might hover protectively until sensing their resilience bloom. An Aboriginal elder might journey swiftly along ancestral dreaming paths, while someone consumed by revenge might circle in shadowed realms until love finally penetrates their pain. Edgar's wisdom illuminates this variability as perfect cosmic design. Each soul receives exactly the experience needed for its evolution. Those who lived with acceptance depart gracefully. Those burdened by unfinished emotional business receive opportunities for resolution. The universe, in its infinite compassion, denies no soul the time required for healing and understanding. Consider the touching account of elderly couples passing within days of each other. Often, one soul waits at the threshold for their beloved, their reunion in light creating waves of peace that comfort grieving families below. These spiritual synchronicities reveal how love transcends physical boundaries while honoring individual journeys. The metaphor of soul ripples describes the lasting impact of our earthly lives. Even as consciousness merges with higher realms, the good we've created continues influencing the physical world. A teacher's wisdom echoes through former students. A parent's love sustains children across dimensions. These ripples ensure our essence remains woven into Earth's tapestry long after personal presence departs. What determines readiness for final transition? Spiritual traditions agree on key factors: the completion of karmic lessons, the release of binding emotions, the recognition of one's divine nature, and ultimately, the soul's own internal timing. No external force rushes this process. Divine patience allows each consciousness to unfold according to its unique rhythm. The Tibetan concept of the Tukdam state, where accomplished meditators remain in death meditation for days, demonstrates how spiritual mastery influences transition. Similarly, Edgar describes souls who'd prepared through lifetime contemplation, moving smoothly beyond physical attachment, while others required extended healing in intermediate realms. For those wondering about loved ones who've passed, know that your grief connects you across realms. Your love provides comfort to transitioning souls, while their journey need not end to maintain eternal connection. The bonds formed in physical life transform into spiritual links that distance cannot diminish. Prayer, meditation, and loving thoughts create bridges of light that support departing souls while healing your own hearts. The ultimate lesson remains profound in its simplicity. Life and death exist as complementary aspects of infinite consciousness. The soul's post-mortem journey, whether brief or extended, serves as sacred education in the art of letting go while embracing eternal truth. Each moment spent between worlds teaches what earthly existence could not: the essential nature of love, the illusion of separation, the reality of endless becoming. As we conclude this exploration, remember that death marks not an ending, but a transition in consciousness. The soul's residence time on Earth after physical departure reflects not limitation, but opportunity to heal, to love, to understand, and ultimately to remember its luminous nature. In this cosmic dance, every soul eventually answers the timeless call home while leaving footprints of light that guide others along the eternal path. Your own journey, when the moment arrives, will unfold perfectly according to your soul's unique wisdom. Until then, live fully, love deeply, and trust in the sacred process that embraces all beings in its infinite care. Your consciousness has been expanded today, but this is just the beginning. The spiritual path offers infinite wisdom for those seeking deeper understanding. By subscribing, you join a community of souls dedicated to exploring life's greatest mysteries with open hearts and awakened minds. Don't miss the next revelation. Click that subscribe button now and tap the notification bell. The journey into higher understanding continues, and your presence enriches our collective spiritual exploration. Share this wisdom with someone who needs to understand how love transcends death. Together, we illuminate the path for both the living and those who've crossed over.